Hello, sixth grade mathematicians. So today we're back at it, and instead of area, we're moving on from area. We've already done the area of triangles, two different kinds, acute and right triangles, and we did area of parallelograms. And so now we're moving on to volume. Now volume is a little different because it's what's inside, the space inside something. So this is kind of to fill. So you can think of volume as filling something. So for instance, you've got like a cereal box. A cereal box is a rectangular prism, and you can fill things inside that cereal box. Or an eBay box, things are filled inside there. Or a cracker box, things are filled inside there. So we're going to be looking at the formula. Volume is length times width times height. And I can find this on this rectangular prism. We've got length times width times height. So we've got 3 by 2 by 2. So I could fill this in 3 by 2 by 2. So let me go ahead and do that. I've got 3 by 2 by 2. And I can figure that as 6 times 2 is 12. 12 cubic, and we'll talk about that in just a second, units. And we'll have an example of that in just a minute. So I said 12 cubic units. So I have this rectangular prism, and inside there I should be able to put 12 cubic units. I've got these little centimeter cubes. I should be able to fit 12 of these in here if my formula is correct. So I'm going to make a visual representation of what I just told you for the formula. So this is going to prove the formula by putting in place these cubes. All right, and notice I said cubes. These are cubes, and that's where the cubic units come from. So I've got 6 in there. There's 7. There's 8. There's 9. 10. Whoops. There we go. 11. And notice I have space for one more. There's 12. So I could pack 12 cubic units, 12 cubes inside of here. All right, so that's 12 cubic units. So for this next one, when I'm looking at this visual representation, I can figure out how many cubes are in there by using the formula. So this time I'm going to use the formula, and I've got length times width times height. So my length this time is 4. And let me get my cap off of here. All right. So I've got 4. And then I've got my width is 3. And my height is 3. So now I can figure the volume. And these are, remember, cubic units. So I've got 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. So 36 units cubed. So there are 36 of those centimeter cubes in there. Okay? All right. So that's just a brief review of volume and what it measures, and a visual representation of what we're going to be doing today. So I need you to have your paper out for today. And paper looks like this. And we are going to find the volume using our formula of these different rectangular prisms. All right, so remember our volume formula is length times width times height. So you'll notice that these are fractional units. So we've got a length of 5.5, a width of 4, and a height of 4. So then when I write out this multiplication problem, it's going to be, I'm not sure where to write this, 5.5 times 4 times 4. So then when I multiply 5.5 times 4, I get 22. 22 times 4 gives me 88. So when I write it over here, I need to remember that it told me that I'm measuring it in centimeters. So I've got 88 centimeters cubed. So over here, you'll show your work, and then over here, you'll write the final answer. All right. So I think we did pretty good with that first one. So with the second one, we need to identify the length, and the length is 3 3/4. Now, if it's a quarter or a half, you can change that and make that 0.75 because we know that this is 3/4. We've talked about this at great length. 3/4 is the same as 75 cents. You can rewrite it that way, or you can keep it as the fraction if you are really great with fractions. So it is entirely up to you. So we've got the length times the width times the height. So if we keep that in fractional form, we've got 18, we multiply 3 3/4 times 5, and we get 18 3/4 times 5. And then we get a grand total of 93 3/4. And so when we write it over here, don't forget to write your centimeters. So it's 93 3/4 centimeters cubed. All right, number 3. So with number 3, we've got 6 2/3. That's our length. Our width is 3, and our height is 2. So we need to go ahead and convert this to an improper fraction. And this is an improper fraction. It would be 18, 19, 20. So that would be 20/3 times 3/1 times 2/1. Remember, when we have a whole number, we can put that whole number over 1 and it means the same thing. All right, so when we multiply across, we've got 3 times 1 times 1, so that's still going to give me thirds. I've got 20 times 3, which would give me 60. 60 times 2 is 120. So 120, and when we see this, remember this is just like a division problem. So 120 divided by 3 gives me a total of 40. So remember, it's centimeters. So for number 3, the answer is going to be 40 centimeters cubed. All right, so number 4. Number 4 is, the length is 5.5. The width is 3, and the height is 3. So we have 5.5, which would be 10, that'd be 11 halves, times 3/1 times 3/1. Because 3/1, remember we said that denotes a whole number, because 3 divided by 1 is 3. So we're going to multiply across. When we multiply across, we've got 33, and 33 times 3 is 99. So 99, 2 times 1 is 2, times 1 more is 2. When we divide 99 in half, 99 divided by 2, we get 49 and a half. So when we write it over here, it's 49 and a half centimeters cubed. All right, number 5. Number 5, we've got the length of 3 3/4. We have the width of 2, and we have the height of 2. So 3 3/4 would be 12, 13, 14, 15, 15/4 times 2 over 1 times 2 over 1. So when we multiply this across, 4 times 1 is 4, so we're staying in fourths. We've got 15 times 2, which is 30. 30 times 2, which is 60. 60 divided by 4 gives me 15. All right, when we come up here and write it, it's 15 centimeters cubed. All right, 2 more to go. Okay, so here we've got the length of 3 3/4. We have the width of 3, and we have a height of 5. 3 3/4 we need to change to an improper fraction. We've got 12, 13, 14, 15/4 times 3 over 1 times 5 over 1. So we're staying with fourths because 4 times 1 is 4 times 1 is 4. So now we have 5 times 3, or 15 times 3, which is 45. 45 times 5, which is 225. 225 divided by 4 gives me 56 1/4. This would be 56 1/4 centimeters cubed. All right, number 7. We've got 6 2/4 for the length. We've got 3 for the width and 5 for the height. All right, so 6 2/4 times 3. So we've got 24, 25, 26/4 times 3 over 1 times 5 over 1. So we have 26 times 3, which is 78. 78 times 5, which is 390. And we have 390/4. So when we divide 390 divided by 4, we get 97 2/4. That can be reduced to 97 1/2. So we've got 97 1/2 centimeters cubed. All right, so what have we done today? Well, we reviewed volume. We reviewed that volume is when you fill something up. So it's kind of like these rectangular prisms, all filled up with the cubes. So volume is when you fill something up. It's different than area and perimeter. The formula for volume is length times width times height. And we have to be careful when we're using fractions. We need to change this to improper fractions, or we can change it to a decimal if we can and multiply that way. All right? So tomorrow I'll have you come back. We'll do a few more, and then I'll give you an assignment. All right? So I want you to keep watching, keep thinking, always stay curious, and I'll see you tomorrow.